David O'Sullivan here, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review for Captain America Civil War. Captain America Civil War is the latest Marvel movie. It's, as well as being both the sequel to the previous Captain America film, The Winter Soldier, it is also kind of a continuation of the second Avengers film, Age of Ultron, and, you know, a continuation of what was set up and established there. Although, technically, this is the start of Marvel's Phase 3, so it's kind of setting the stage for this new wave of Marvel movies to come. It's essentially a kind of culmination of everything that's come before in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It has all been leading up to this, and this is this really big culminating midpoint in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Directed once again by Winter Soldier directors Anthony and Joe Russo, the film stars Chris Evans, who leads an ensemble cast including Robert Downey Jr, Scarlett Johansson, Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie, Cheadle, Jeremy Renner, Chadwick Boseman, Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Rudd, Emily Van Camp, Tom Holland, Frank Grillo, William Hurt, and Daniel Bruhl. Wow, that is a big cast. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've just been so excited for Captain America Civil War. I mean, a lot of people have been waiting months for this, but I personally have been waiting years for this. Ever since the first Avengers movie, I've been wanting to see Civil War, and I didn't think we'd get it this soon. I always thought we'd probably get it as like Avengers 4 or something, like they would do it after Infinity War, but the fact they decided to do it as the third Captain America film, I actually really liked and thought it was a really good idea for them to do Civil War first, and then to do Infinity War, so to kind of like tear them apart and then kind of bring them back together again for the third Avengers film. And I've been so excited for this film. Like I said, I've been waiting, it was like I've been waiting so long, and I haven't been this excited, I haven't anticipated a Marvel film this much, this highly since the first Avengers film, and I haven't been waiting for one this long since the first Avengers film. And yeah, was it worth the wait? Yes, definitely. Oh my god. This, I think, is one of Marvel's best movies. Now, is it their best? It's really hard. Having only just seen it and seen it just once, I'd say, for me, before this, Winter Soldier was the best one. And for me, it is down to between Winter Soldier and Civil War. I still haven't made up my mind yet. I'm going to need to see Civil War a few more times. I'm definitely going to see it at least 2 more times in the cinema. But yeah, for now, it's definitely between Civil War and Winter Soldier. I haven't quite made up my mind yet, because it is quite difficult. They are both Captain America films, but Winter Soldier is like a standalone Captain America film, where this is more of an ensemble piece, so it's quite hard to compare them in that way. I may as well start with the positives I have, because it's mostly all positives I have with this film. And by far the biggest positive I can give this film is how realistic it felt. Honestly, everything came about so naturally. Everything just made so much sense, because despite the fact that we have all these superpowered characters, it has a lot of big, larger-than-life, fantastical characters with superpowers. At the same time, what the Russos were able to do with this, which I really liked, I thought was one of the best things about the film, was, like Winter Soldier, it felt so real. Because obviously the Winter Soldier, it was kind of, I'm assuming it was kind of easier, because it was just really a Captain America film, and Captain America's quite grounded and reality-based in terms of his powers. Whereas in this, it's kind of more an Avengers film. It's technically a Captain America film, but then again, it's got pretty much everybody in there except Thor and Hulk, so it kind of really is an Avengers film. But what I liked so much was how the Russos were able to take what they did with the Winter Soldier and apply that to a much bigger film with all the Avengers in, basically. And yeah, like I said, it all felt so real, and I actually loved that. I loved the whole feel of the film. Because, like I said, even though we got characters with superpowers and there's a lot of big, fantastical, larger-than-life, over-the-top things going on, it's so grounded in like a real world. It feels, when you're watching it, it feels so real. Like, I honestly have no idea how they did it. I mean, I think they did such a great job, the Russos, with Winter Soldier, but how they're able to take what they did there and apply it to a much bigger scale film like this, featuring practically all of the Avengers. It blew my mind how they were able to do it, because we had all these different characters, all these different superpowers, all these different things going on, but it all came together so well, and it all, like I said, felt so real, and it just makes it so much more riveting to watch, because you're watching it and it's all feels so viscerally real and intense, and it all looks so real, and it's like, it's absolutely great. I just loved it. And another thing I really liked was the whole serious and dramatic tone. Again, like the Winter Soldier, this is a much more serious Marvel movie. It's a lot more dramatic, it's got a lot more depth, And I just absolutely love that, because as much as I love the Avengers movies, and I love what Joss Whedon did with that, and I really like Joss Whedon as a filmmaker. I think he did a great job with those Avengers movies. But for me, I've always preferred what the Russos did with Winter Soldier, because for me, I like it when it is more serious, when it is more dramatic. I mean, make no mistake, there's a lot of humour in here still, and the humour works really well. I'll get onto that a little bit later, but it's a very serious and dramatic tone to it, which I really like and really appreciate. It's one of the things I really liked most about the Winter Soldier, was the fact that it was very serious and very grounded and very dramatic and thrilling and intense, and they were able to take what they did to Winter Soldier and apply that here. And honestly, it works so well, because the levels of drama were so much higher than they had ever been before, and the stakes were really high. All the conflict and drama felt so natural as well. It didn't feel out of place, it didn't feel forced, because as much as I like the Avengers movies, they're overall quite fun and light-hearted in tone, which is great, and I love that. But when they do try to be more serious and dramatic, it doesn't really work, because the whole overall tone is so light-hearted and so fun and high-spirited and enjoyable and entertaining, that when they do try to go more serious and more trying to go, it doesn't really have the necessary depth there to have the necessary impact. Whereas here, because the tone overall is so serious and dramatic, it does have the depth there, it does have the drama there, and it was perfect for a Civil War storyline. It was just all done so incredibly well. And also, I have to mention that despite all the very kind of serious and dramatic tone, and how that was a really big part of this film, there is of course a lot of humour. And I really appreciated the humour in this film and the use of the humour in this film. It's kind of a given thing now. It's all Marvel movies have a lot of humour and are very funny, but some do it better than others. Some, it's kind of a bit of a mishmash in tone. It feels a little all over the place. Kind of like the Avengers movie. I mean, the first one did it better, I think, but where it kind of goes from trying to be serious and dramatic to being really kind of fun and light-hearted, and sometimes it doesn't really mesh that well. I think the one that's done it best so far has been Guardians of the Galaxy. How it has had a lot of heart and a lot of emotion and drama, but it was also very funny as well, and I think that's probably the funniest one yet. But what I really liked about Civil War, although I don't think it was the funniest, the humour was really well done, and it was really funny. There's some really great character moments, some great banter and back and forth between characters, and just some character moments that are just really funny. There's just some great comedic touches in here. Like I said, even though it probably wasn't the funniest necessarily, the humour in this film, it was the best use of humour in all of the Marvel movies, because it wasn't overly comedic, but the way in which because like I said, it can feel very kind of mishmash and all over the place when they try to go from serious and dramatic to more fun and light-hearted, but the way they did it in this film, it all felt so natural, because in Joss Whedon's Avengers movies, it can sometimes feel like it does feel a little scripted, or a little like jokes thrown in here and there. But in this, despite the overall serious and dramatic tone that the film maintained, it often cut to a funny, quirky, comedic character moment that didn't feel out of place or forced at all. It all worked so well. Like, we got these moments of humour in like kind of characters interacting, characters like giving certain like looks or remarks or like that, and like it all just came together so well. All the different characters reacted as you'd think they would. All the different characters kind of acted in these situations as you think they would, and that's why I think the humour worked so well, because it wasn't just humour that just suddenly came out of nowhere and felt out of place. It was humour that felt natural. It made sense in the story. It's like, that's how a character like that would react. That's what a character like that would say. And honestly, it all worked together, meshed together so well, because it could have so easily been such a mishmash of tone. Like, it could have been tonally all over the place, been like a complete mess, but it was balanced together so brilliantly. This serious, dramatic tone overall that was maintained, but every now and then we got these funny, quirky character moments and moments of humour that interjected here and there that just worked so well, and it just helped to enhance the characterisation, and it was just so great. And another thing I really liked, that this was by far, I think, Marvel's most mature and grown up out of all their films, which I really like, because I do like pretty much all the Marvel films, but a lot of them can seem sometimes a little like they're catering to kids, or a little, just a little childish or a little kiddie. But this one, oh my god, they just there's no holding back. They just really go for it, and I love what the Russos were able to do with this. Because like I said, they did a similar thing with the Winter Soldier, and I love that Marvel allowed them to do the same thing what they did there, but with a bigger movie like this with all of the Avengers in. And it was just so great because, like I said, there were moments of humour and there were moments of comedic relief, but overall it felt real, it felt serious, it felt like there were stakes, the levels of drama were high, and it felt like this was something serious. This is something that could be just sort of a joke. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, we're going to get back together now, it's all happy in the end. No, this is pretty serious. And the way they handled it, it was so great, because for me, I think this, coming out of the film, it felt like it was Marvel's most kind of personal film, in the sense that it was so, even though it was a big epic action movie, it felt very personal as well to these characters. It was out of all their films, it felt the most personal, because it was really, we got to really delve deep into these characters and explore their psyches and understand, who they really are as people deep down, because we get to see how they reacted to these certain difficult kind of icky situations that they found themselves in, like how they all kind of react, and how they're all kind of different to one another in terms of how they react and how they respond and how they kind of take different stance in this whole debate. And to see these characters being put into a difficult kind of complex situation like this, and seeing how they react and how they kind of clash with one another and how they decide to go down the certain paths that they do, it was just so great to see, because it felt so serious and so grown up. It had these real world themes and issues that were explored that none of the other Marvel movies have really done before, but with Civil War they did it so well, in that it still felt like very much a Marvel film set in the Marvel universe, but it also felt very real as well, because it had these serious grown up themes and issues that were integrated and explored within the story, that brought these characters into the story, characters that we know and love and have loved for years, but we got to see how they kind of changed in a way, how they responded to this situation, and it was kind of both surprising and shocking, but it was also kind of very affirming in terms of, yes, this is it really showed us who these characters are deep down, and this is who they really are, and why they would make these choices and why they would pursue this avenue or go down this road. And it all felt like it made so much sense, even when there were things that were surprising and shocking, it still made sense, because it was like, yes, that is who that character really is, that is the choice they would make, that is what they would do. And I think the story was just so well crafted around the characters in that way, and how it brought them all into the story and fleshed them all out, and helped to develop their characters and expand upon who they are and delve deeper into who they are. And it was just so well done. Another positive I have to give is just how the script so brilliantly crafted all of the characters into this story in a way that just felt so natural and just made so much sense. There was a danger, and I was worried with a film like this that because there were so many characters, it was going to be a bit of a mess. There was going to be so much going on. There was going to be stuff happening all over the place. They weren't be able to juggle all these characters. Like, some characters were going to get like pretty much nothing to do. But one of the biggest things that surprised me about this film, and how good of a job they did, was how the script crafted all of these characters into the story in ways that just made so much sense, because there were a lot of characters, and obviously there are characters that have more screen time than others, and there are characters that don't get as much screen time. But despite that, it all felt so perfect in how it was all balanced out so brilliantly, because there were characters, like I said, that have much bigger roles, like Cap and Tony, and others like Scarlet Witch and Vision that have smaller roles. What we do see from them is so great. There's no wasted screen time at all. There's no like dud scene or dud moment where it's like, that was a bit of a lousy scene, they could have written that better. Honestly, every single time we see a character on screen, it seems like they are written to the best they could have possibly done, because like, whenever we see a character, it's not like there's screen time being wasted. It's like they use every single second of screen time to help as the audience understand who these characters are. And even, like I said, Scarlet Witch and Vision, who don't get as bigger roles, we still get to learn more about them as people, as characters. We get to explore how they're really feeling about this situation, what they're really thinking. We get a little bit of a relationship there that seems to kind of blossom between the two of them. It was so great, because In a lot of these big ensemble movies, the character that doesn't get that much screen time, you're like, oh, I wish I'd seen more of them. But even the characters in this film that don't get that bigger roles, like Spider-Man, who I'll talk about later, who has a smaller role, and there are varying amounts of screen time between the characters, obviously. The whole miraculous achievement here is that despite it's an ensemble piece with so many characters and they all have varying amounts of screen time, you never feel let down or shortchanged by any character, no matter how much you see of a certain character. Even if it's just one scene or one moment, you never get let down. They just deliver so well on every single character. They're just firing on all cylinders. Every single character is presented perfectly, in my opinion. It was just all balanced together so well in a way that you, like I said, it never feels like there's only one character that gets given the short straw. Every single character was presented so brilliantly well, and it was all balanced together so well in this ensemble piece where you got to see all these different characters. Some had bigger parts than others, some had so smaller bits, but they were all so fantastically well realised and, well presented on the big screen. It was just so great to see. The characters were all given their moments to shine, and the script just balanced them all together so incredibly well. Even the two new characters, Black Panther and Spider-Man, were both flawlessly presented. Honestly, I have no criticism whatsoever, because I was worried going into this film, and I absolutely love both characters. Spider-Man's probably one of my favourite superheroes, and Black Panther I absolutely love as well. I've been wanting to see him in a film for years. I'm so glad we finally got around to seeing him, but I was worried introducing him for the first time in a big ensemble Civil War film like this, and as well as shoehorning Spider-Man in there. But the beauty of it was, there was no shoehorning. It didn't feel like they were shoehorned in at all. Like I said, it felt so natural. It felt like, oh, that character's there, and that character's there, because that makes sense, because the story has them there at that point. Honestly, it was all crafted so well from a story point of view, how these characters come in at certain points in the story, and the parts that they play. Everything felt so natural, to the point where it didn't feel like you were seeing these brand new characters for the first time. It felt like these are characters you already know, that you've seen before, and it just felt like this was like a continuation. Oh, we're seeing them coming into the story now, but it was in actual fact not them returning, it was them debuting. It was just, that's how well it was done. It was done in a way that, like the other characters, it felt like they were characters we already have known and already got to know and we've seen before, and we're just getting to see them coming into the bigger picture now. But in actual fact, it was actually the first time we've seen them. But yeah, that is how well it was done. They were both written and portrayed extremely well, as far as the script was concerned, and as well as the performances by the actors as well. As far as Spider-Man is concerned, I don't want to talk about it too much. He didn't have that big a role, and I am a big fan of Spider-Man, and I absolutely love what we saw here from Tom Holland. It's difficult to say whether this is the best Peter Parker Spider-Man we've seen, because like I said, it's a very small role, and it's kind of like, you can't really say this is the definitive version of Peter Parker and Spider-Man we've seen yet, because although it was great, I don't think we saw enough of him to be able to say whether it was the best or not. I think once we get the solo film, it'll be much easier to make a judgment then. From what I saw of him in this film, even though it was a small part, it was great, honestly. It was everything I've always wanted to see from Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and Tom Holland just did a great job. All of the actors in the huge cast just deliver extraordinary performances. It's like they were all at the top of their game, and as a result, it's probably the best we've seen from all of these different characters. I absolutely loved what the Russos did with Captain America in The Winter Soldier, but I really didn't think it was possible to take the same approach with all of the Avengers, because before this, I've only ever really seen what Joss Whedon's been able to do with the Avengers. I've only ever really seen his take on these characters before. But to see what the Russos were able to do with all of these Avengers, and the fact that they were able to take the same approach that they did with Captain America in The Winter Soldier and apply that to all of the characters here, honestly, it just excites me so much. It's just a real confirmation to me that the MCU is in safe hands, and the fact that the Russos are going to be doing Infinity War now as well. Honestly, I just have no worries after seeing this. I was a little worried, going from just Captain America to Infinity War, but having seen this, I've literally got no worries at all now, because to see what they're able to do with all of the Avengers in this much bigger scale ensemble film, honestly, it just excites me so much. To see what you're able to do with the Avengers in Civil War, I'm just really excited to see what they're going to do now with the Avengers in Infinity War. It's just going to be so great. And finally, of course, the action sequences. I mean, it's just a testament to how good this film is that I've just been talking about all these positive points that I have in regard to the film, and yet I haven't even touched on the action. And of course, I have to. The action sequences in this film are just undeniably spectacular. And I'm not exaggerating. This is probably the best action we've seen of any Marvel film thus far. I mean, I love the action sequences in Avengers and in Captain America, but in this film, oh my god, it's just on another level like nothing we've ever seen before. And I really mean that. I mean, I love like the action with what they did with Iron Man in Iron Man 3. I love what they did in the Avengers movies. I love what they did with Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But what the Russos were able to do here was to take the same approach that they took with Captain America in the Winter Soldier and apply that here, but to all the Avengers. They did the same as what they did in the Winter Soldier, but they just dialed it up. They just delivered this action that felt so visceral and real and hard-hitting and intense, and I just absolutely loved it. Honestly, whenever the action sequences kicked in, the film just went up again, just went into a league of its own, just giving us just remarkable, outstanding action sequences with both intense, Bourne-style, hand-to-hand combat fight sequences, and as well as these big, epic hero versus hero set pieces that would just leave you jaw dropped in just awe and wonder what they're able to accomplish. Honestly, it was just seriously impressive from just an action standpoint alone. This is probably the best we've seen from Marvel so far. All of the heroes were integrated into the fight sequences with just maximum impact. They all had their own awesome moments, and they all had just their moments to shine and take the spotlight, and it was just so great to see because we got to see all these different characters interacting with one another, and they were all kind of very different characters, very different powers, and we get to see how they all kind of like contrast yet complement one another. It was just like seeing all the kind of characters and fights from the comic books that you've always wanted to see just brought to life on the big screen in just such spectacular fashion. It was just so great and so much fun to watch. As far as negatives go, I really have next to no criticism with this film. I do have some little negative points though. For me, the film had a bit of an iffy start. I think it took a little bit of a while to kind of get its feet and to get going. But, it wasn't, horrendous or anything, I'm really kind of nitpicking here. Like I said, it felt a little iffy. It felt a little like it was struggling to get its feet. But once it did, it was great. And it just, it was flawless from then on. The first act, or the first half of the film really as well, felt quite slow. It was quite slow paced, but then again, even though the first half of the film was more slow paced, it was essentially a long kind of build up to this big central confrontation between all of the heroes. So I can't really complain because it made that central action sequence even more impactful because it was like just a combination of everything that had come before that was just leading up to it. And even though the first half didn't have as much action and was slower, I did still love what we got from that first half of the film. I loved that it felt more kind of grounded and dramatic and understated and had kind of political undertones, and it was kind of setting up what was to come later on with this big showdown. So I can't really criticise the first half of not being as showy and being a little slower because it was kind of necessary to have this build up. And I think it was a great build up because it helped to develop these characters and build up until we got this confrontation between them, which, like I said, it made it even more impactful to watch. Even though it was slower paced to begin with, all the scenes we got I absolutely loved, like even when it was just dialogue scenes, because like I said, there isn't as much action in the first half, but it got to a point when I was watching the film in the cinema and I just suddenly sat back and was like, wow, I'm like so immersed and engaged in this, and yet we're just getting lots of dialogue scenes. So in a way, I think this first half of the film is, because even though the action sequences that come thereafter are just undeniably spectacular to behold, I think the first half of the film in a way is even more a testament to how good of a grip and understanding Marvel have of these characters, that we're able to get these dialogue scenes that are just as riveting as the action sequences. Honestly, it's just as entertaining watching these characters just talk. We're seeing characters interact with one another, characters argue with one another, debate with one another, and I think those are the best action films, the ones that not only have the great action but have the great dialogue scenes where we can be just as interested and engaged when it's just characters talking, characters arguing with one another. And that's what I think Marvel did so well with this film, that they got such a good grip and understanding of these characters now that we can get scenes where it's just them talking to one another and it's not boring, it's just as entertaining, it's just as gripping and as riveting. We've got such an understanding of these characters now, and Marvel have got such a good grip on these characters that when we're seeing these characters interact with one another and kind of clash with one another, even when it's just dialogue wise, it feels so right, it feels like so perfect. Like they just nailed it so well. As far as from the writing standpoint, from the performances standpoint, everything just came together so well, just to make the maximum impact. It was just so great. So really, you could kind of criticise the first half of the film, the first act of the film, for taking a little bit of a while to get going. But even though it's just not as full on and as fast paced and intense as some of the big action set pieces we get later on, we still get some great action sequences here and there. And like I said, it's the character moments really that really help shine in that first half and the whole film really, and just goes to show how good of an understanding Marvel have for these characters, that we kind of have these dialogue scenes that aren't boring but just enhance the characterization and are just as interesting to watch as the big crazy action. Also, Daniel Bruhl is in this film playing a certain character, and he plays a certain part in this film. I don't really want to say whether I like or dislike that element of the film, because it is quite spoilerish in terms of who he's playing and the role he plays throughout the film, so I don't really want to touch on that until I do my spoiler talk. But what I will say is that I did like his character. I think Daniel Bruhl gave a good performance. I think his character was well written, but again, I don't want to go into too much depth and detail as far as that part of the film is concerned, because it is quite spoilerish. So I will talk more about Daniel Bruhl's character and the role that he plays in my spoiler talk. But yeah, again, going on back onto negatives, the only other last negative point I have, and it's quite nitpicky, it's the score. The score isn't anything fantastic. It's not bad. It's sufficient. You know, it does its job. But when you see a big, epic superhero movie like this, you want there to be a memorable score that's just iconic, that you get stuck in your head. But here, it's kind of forgettable. I can't really remember the score. It was more of an accompaniment to the film rather than a great, iconic, standalone score in its own right. But again, it is nitpicking, because the score, it was good and it was fine. It played its part. But as far as being memorable, it wasn't really that great. But like I said, I am that nitpicking here. The score was good enough for what it was. But yeah, that's really all I have as far as negatives, and I'm kind of nitpicking here as well. Overall, this is one of Marvel's best movies to date. I still haven't decided whether I like it more than The Winter Soldier. For me, it's definitely between The Winter Soldier and Civil War. I'm going to have to see Civil War a few more times, and I'm going to be seeing it at least 2 more times, like I said. But overall, this is the Avengers movie I've always wanted to see. Not a bash on the other Avengers movies. I love the other Avengers movies. I love what Joss Whedon did with them. But for me, this and what we got here, or what the Russos delivered, for me, this is what I've always wanted to see from Marvel and from these characters. It was a film, for me, that had it all. It had the humour and the entertainment there. It was exciting and enthralling to watch. It had kind of very serious, dramatic tone to it. It was very kind of thrilling and invigorating and just riveting to watch. The action sequences were absolutely extraordinary. They were incredible. They were hard-hitting. They were full-on. They were intense. It was just so much fun to watch. Honestly, it was just great overall. I'm going to give Captain America Civil War 5 stars. So there we go, that wraps up my review of Captain America Civil War. Have you seen the film? And if so, what do you think about it? Let me know down below, I'll let you know. And also, if you like this, make sure to click subscribe to see more. But for now, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.